Hey there, what's up? This is Seth, and I wanted to show you one of several options out there for getting direct mail data for finding motivated sellers. In the past, I've shown examples of how to do this with other services. I've shown people how to get it directly from the county. But if you're willing to pay a little bit of money, it is possible to get this data in a format that's a lot easier and better organized just in terms of trying to sort it. One example I want to show you here today is this company here called ReboGateway. I've heard of this company actually for years. I've just never actually tried them out. And I recently had an opportunity to just give their service a shot and just see what it looks like and how it works. And while I'm doing this, I wanted to show you how that works. So I'm going to quick go up here and log in. Type my stuff here. Okay, so when you log in, the interface looks like this. And the way that this particular service works is they don't necessarily give you a set number of leads throughout the whole country or throughout a particular state. Instead, you can pick one specific county and you can get unlimited leads from that one county. And if you want, you can actually pay a little bit more and get, an additional second county as part of your subscription, or a third or a fourth. But generally the way it works is you just pick that one county and that's kind of what you have to work with. And I think this kind of thing, depending on the way your business works and what you need it for, it could be, more ideal to use this kind of service or less ideal, depending on whether you work all over the country or whether you are always working in one specific area. Then it could be a perfect fit. And the thing about ReboGateway is that they actually kind of specialize in using preset data filters so that you find motivated sellers who are grouped into certain categories. And you can see that right here where it says lead type. And there's all these different options to choose from. Depending on what area you're working in, some of these options may or may not be available. This particular county is San Bernardino County, California. And the reason I wanted to try this one is because they have pretty much every possible option available. So just for example, tax defaults. You can search based on city or zip code for all of the properties that are tax delinquent. You could also search for divorce, which basically means that that particular house, the owners have filed for divorce, which, in a lot of cases could be just an example of somebody who's motivated and, is probably going to be willing to sell due to that major significant life event. You can also do empty nesters is just another example, and that's just so you understand what that means. Those are properties that have been owned for at least 25 or more years by the owners, and they have at least 3 bedrooms and at least 2 bathrooms. So it's just kind of a stereotypical segment of data where these people probably had kids and they've been there for a while and they're empty nesters. So just kind of gives you some examples of all of these different options have something in common, and that is, statistically speaking, a lot of these people are probably in a situation where they are going to be interested in selling, and in a lot of cases interested in selling at a very low price. Another example, probate leads, affidavit of death, basically meaning that these properties are ones where the owner has died and the property is about to be inherited by somebody else who probably doesn't want it. So it just kind of gives you an idea of the different options. And there are several different ways to search for these properties. One of the ways is a radius search. And with the radius search, you basically can just type in an address, or you can just put a pin right on the property and then you drag this out. And what it's going to do is it's going to include all of the properties that you specify in your filter that fits in this radius. So, say if you live at a certain spot, or if you have a property at a certain spot, or if you just know of a certain neighborhood, you could use this for that. You can also do a boundary search where you actually draw on the map where you want it to be. And then it creates this boundary. So say if there's like several blocks of town and you want to send direct mail only to those specific areas, this would be ideal to use that kind of thing for. You can also actually use the quick search function if you want to do some research on a particular property. So this would be ideal if, say, you have a specific property in mind and you want to know more about it. This kind of thing will tell you history of the property, current owner, transfer amounts, bedrooms and bathrooms. All the typical property profile report stuff that you'd expect to see. You can do that, by using this quick search function. And then probably the most powerful and important tool of this whole thing is this filter. And this filter is where you can specify the city or cities or the zip code or zip codes where you want to search for properties. And then you can fill in all this stuff if you want to, but you don't have to. Something, for example, that may be helpful to put in there would be like the purchase date. Say if you only wanted to search for properties that were purchased right at the height of the market before everything crashed, like from 2005 to 2007, you could do that here. Just like that. Another important thing that, for example, I always love to do, I've found this to be really, really helpful, is to only do the tax defaulted properties. So I would keep that box checked. Assessed value, land value, things like that could be, very helpful. If you know a specific value range that you're looking for, you could put that in there. At this point, for those of you who are land investors like me, I don't see a land option here, which kind of a bummer. I think that's something that would be really helpful just for our particular niche. I've actually talked to them about that, and I think that's something they may be adding soon, but at the time of this recording, it's not there. So if this is something you're interested in, you could always give them a call and just ask them if that's something they have. But again, for everybody else, for all the normal people out there who are just looking for like houses, multi-unit buildings, you can basically select that stuff here if you do or don't want those types of properties to be included in your search. You can also either include or exclude properties that are currently active on the MLS. So, if there's already a realtor involved and it's listed, you could just as well keep those on or off the list. Just, a nice little trick to keep in mind. Say if you want to do the typical county search, you could pick the city. So let's pick Rialto here. And then let's pick the divorce one. And then also in the filter, we could have, this tax default option checked. So what that means is that not only are these properties going to be the tax default properties, but they're also going to be the ones that have, a divorce situation going on, which basically just means that a lot of these owners, it's going to be very likely that they're going to be highly motivated to sell. It doesn't really guarantee anything in terms of how much they'll sell for or anything like that, but if you want to make sure you're targeting only specific people who are much more likely to sell for a lower price, that's a great way to do it, is by combining these different things together. So let's go back here and let's make sure we got the Rialto one checked. And we're going to hit submit. Okay, so now that we've done our little search, we can scroll on here and we can see all of the leads before we actually download them. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and click where it says Rebo Marketing. We're going to go up here and click Data Export. And as you can see here, it gives you several different options on the type of file you can download. And Excel file is, the one that makes most sense for me. So I'm going to go ahead and download that. That's downloading. Let's open this up now. Okay, so this is the list that we got. And as you can see, it looks pretty much, like what we would expect it to. A lot of data, a lot of information here, and a lot of the stuff we're not really going to need. We can end up deleting a lot of this. And also, just so you know, if you did want to eliminate some of this stuff before we downloaded it, we could have just as well done that too. But hopefully, either way, that just kind of gives you an idea for how ReboGateway works. When I was using this system, I would say that there were a few things I thought that were really cool about it, and other things that I thought were probably less desirable, at least just for my situation. In terms of the pros, I thought the data was very rich with a lot of unique filtering criteria that I hadn't seen before, which is really cool. I thought the lists were very well organized. The end product you get is really, really nice. When I was talking to John, he's the sales rep that I was working with there, he was saying that most counties are updated nightly, so the information tends to be very consistent and accurate, which is a big, big deal. It's very, very important for direct mail like this. I think he mentioned that some of the data in these counties comes from CoreLogic, but a lot of the data comes directly from the actual county, so it just sort of depends on which county you're working. It would probably make sense to give John or somebody at ReboGateway a call, just to find out, first of all, how current and recent the data is in that county, and then also which one of these options are going to be available to you. Like, for example, is tax default data even going to be an option in that county? So just because you see it here does not necessarily mean it's going to be available everywhere. So just make sure you understand what's going to be available in whichever place you're trying to do this. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers, ReboGateway and the gist of how it works. I can tell you, these guys have excellent customer service. So if you ever get in here and you're just confused about something, you don't understand how something works. The guy that I worked with, his name was John Harcar, and I think he's probably the best guy to call if you are interested in this. I'm going to include his phone number and contact information in the actual blog post. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click on the link below and see that. But one thing that I think these guys offer that I don't know of many other people who do is, as a paying subscriber, you can get unlimited one-on-one tutorials and webinars with these people. So if you ever get stuck on your list or using the system and you just don't understand what you're doing or how to pull the kind of list you want, all you got to do is give them a call or shoot them an email and they can help set you up. And John actually told me that, on my first list, he would just pull the thing for me and I could just kind of stand over his shoulder and watch what he was doing, or do like a screencast so he can, I can watch him on his computer and how he's doing it. And that I just think was invaluable, because I know some of these systems, they'll look a little bit different. They're a little confusing sometimes, and they're just not easy to understand, especially your first time through it. And the fact that you can just like watch him do it and do it right and just, learn that way is a big deal. So, there you go. That's ReboGateway. Hopefully you found that helpful. If that's the kind of thing that fits your needs, feel free to reach out to them. Also note there is a discount code if you want to sign up for this service. I'm not getting paid through this discount code or anything. It's not an affiliate relationship. It's just, if you want a discount and you want to get it through the RE Tips Your Blog, you can get that. It's kind of just a referral thing. Again, that discount code information is going to be listed below this video on the blog, so check that out. And so that's all. Hopefully that all made sense. And if you have more questions, give John Harcar a call at ReboGateway. Again, he was the guy that I worked with. I'm going to have his contact info below. I think it could be a helpful thing for you depending on your needs. So that is all. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again soon.